Hey looters, Flutes here. Today I want to talk about the top 10 feats for Paladins, according to me. Today on Flutes Loot. Let's check it out. Before I go any further, new people need to know that I am Flutes and my wife is Opal, and together we run FlutesLoot.com, our little hobby of love on the side. The main thing I want to tell you is that FlutesLoot.com has articles that accompany videos like this one, so if you don't want to take notes, or if you'd rather just go read what I wrote there, which is often more detailed than what I say in these videos, follow the link in the description. Alright, so getting to the Paladin feats. First, I want to say that I know that Paladins are MAD, M-A-D, multiple ability score dependent. And so they want to invest in charisma as well as probably their strength, so they can wear heavy armor and swing swords really well while having constitution and their stats go up for good hit points and everything. I understand that, but this is an exercise in just kind of analyzing what would work as a paladin. Now, like the top 3 picks, most paladins probably pick one of them. If you've been playing D&D 5th edition for a long time and you want to try something a little new, maybe go to the number 10, 9, or 8 picks and see how those feel for you. So at number 10 is Fey Touched. Fey Touched will allow you to boost your charisma, which is great for a paladin. You get Misty Step, and you get an enchantment or divination spell of first level, like Hunter's Mark, Hex, Bless, or Gift of Alacrity. As a paladin, I think it's fun to take Hunter's Mark or Hex. Hunter's Mark, you already get it if you're a Paladin Oath of Vengeance, so don't worry about that. And if you're Vengeance or Ancient's Paladin, you already get Misty Step, so don't worry about that. But Misty Step is a great escape or a great way to chase someone down just using your bonus action while still being able to attack. If you're not concentrating on smite spells or other things, Hunter's Mark can just give you a little extra d6 to your damage of your attack, so it's almost like you're getting a little mini smite every time you attack. I probably wouldn't recommend it if it wasn't for the +1 to charisma, but MAD classes, again, multiple ability score dependent classes like this one, really benefit from that extra stat boost from these sorts of feats. I don't picture a lot of paladins picking this one, but it's number 10 on my list after I looked through every feat. So if it sounds fun to you, try it. Let me know how it goes. Number 9 is a simple one, just resilient. Pick constitution saving throws, maybe, and you'll boost your concentration checks, plus your hit points if you make it from an odd to an even number. Resilience is just a great one. Give yourself proficiency in a saving throw. Pair that with your saving throw boosting aura based on your charisma, and you're going to have a really hard time losing concentration on spells. Number 8 is Mounted Combatant, and this is such a fun one for paladins. I actually almost put it as number 1, but Mounted Combatant opens up a whole new world to paladins, and you have Find Steed and Find Greater Steed as spells, and they're so good. Paladins really should have some fun riding on horseback or whatever mount you want to ride. You can protect your mount, and you can also gain advantage against other creatures that are smaller than your mount while you attack them while you're riding. Advantage is great for paladins because that means you can crit fish. The more you fish for critical hits, the more you can do major smite damage. Everyone should see a paladin smite crit at least once and just see the damage output and just marvel at how fun it is rolling all those dice. Mounts are also very useful if you are using battle maps and if movement is in any way relevant to your game. Movement is a huge part of D&D battle tactics, and mounts open you up to so many different possibilities. And gaining advantage with this feat really pairs well with one of my feats coming up a little bit later. Number 7 makes sense. It's Inspiring Leader. Use your charisma and your level to inspire your friends and give them temporary hit points. Healing ahead of time through giving them temporary hit points so you don't have to heal them in battle, maybe. It's just a great way to play off that you're this leadership-based paladin, that you inspire others and you lead them to victory with the conviction of your own oath and way of life. It's also fun to roleplay, maybe not for the whole 10 minutes or whatever it requires for the feat, to give an inspiring speech to your friends, but I think it is fun to just try to say something, a quote, or say something cool about what's about to happen. And often I've seen this being kind of like a fun moment for the other players as you try to roleplay leading them day after day. It's just a great feat. It's solid, and paladins can enjoy it very much. Number 6 is Polearm Master. Being able to do a bonus action attack allows you to smite potentially a 3rd time if you have extra attack, because you get 3 different hits. It pairs well with several other feats on this list, But in and of itself, it's not like a crazy feat for Paladins. And I personally enjoy using a sword and shield type style as a Paladin. You can get pretty tactical with some of the feats coming up, though, if you take Polearm Master with them. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone, because if you've played martial classes, you know how important feats are and how some of them pair very well together. Number 5 is Heavy Armor Master. It comes with a stat boost to your strength, very important. And being able to reduce damage you take is really cool. You don't get that a lot in D&D 5th edition, to just reduce damage as a flat rate. There's some rolling dice abilities, but a feat that just gives you a -3 to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing can be very useful. It doesn't work against magical weapons, and so you do want to make sure that your DM doesn't rule like certain monsters' claws or bites as magical. If they do, then this feat's probably not going to be great past like level 4. But on that note, for the low level play, if you're playing a variant human or custom lineage, whatever it's called, you can get a feat level 1, and it could be Heavy Armor Master, and that can make your effective health much higher very early on. If a goblin is doing like 5 damage per hit, it'll only do 2. And all of a sudden you can take a lot more hits. So Heavy Armor Master is really good early on, but it doesn't always taper off if your DM is not making everything you fight like magical weapon types. It's also really good if you're getting abilities like from Inspiring Leader or like a Twilight Cleric in your party, where you're getting lots of temporary hit points, because all of a sudden it can be really hard to actually hurt your actual hit points, because you're just hurting your temporary hit points and they just keep getting refreshed and the damage keeps getting reduced by your armor. Number 4 for Paladins, for all those critical hit fishers I mentioned earlier, Elven Accuracy. You can boost your dexterity if you're a Paladin who's big on using like finesse weapons instead of strength. But you could also just boost your charisma to help your auras and your spellcasting. If you have reliable ways to gain advantage, which as a Paladin you definitely want to, so that you can crit fish, Elven Accuracy turns that into a triple advantage, 3 rolls instead of 2. Suddenly, crits are going to start popping up more often. Mounted Combatant can help you get advantage in this way, as well as a feat I'm going to mention in a minute, but it's really important to be able to land those critical hits as a Paladin. So satisfying to land smites that way. Elven Accuracy doesn't always add up to be that much of a difference from regular advantage if you're just trying to hit. But if you're trying to crit and you crit really hard, Elven Accuracy, Paladin, good pairing. Number 3 gives us another way to gain advantage on attacks, and that's Shield Master. You can use a bonus action while using the attack action to shield bash someone and try to knock them prone, which while they're prone, you will have advantage to attack them with your melee attacks. It'll give you some slight bonuses to your dex saves. It'll also give you what's essentially half cover on your dexterity saving throws against effects that are targeting you specifically, not like fireballs that aren't targeting you. As long as you're using a shield, Shield Master is great. And as long as you're not relying too much on ranged attacks from your allies, because they will have disadvantage to hit anyone who is prone with their ranged attacks. Number 2, again, these are the not so surprising feats, is Great Weapon Master. If you're not using a sword, go ahead and grip that maul or that great sword with 2 hands and just go a slashing. Take that -5 to hit and go for it. Because if you crit, you're going to hit anyway with the smiting and you'll get +10 damage. Just make sure that you're not missing, because if you miss, you cannot smite. There are some tools of the Paladins to make sure that they hit these kinds of attacks, though, like the Vow of Enmity from the Vengeance Paladin. You can couple with this with the Polearm Master feat so that you can make 3 attacks that all could qualify for your -5 and +10 damage. Suddenly that pummel attack for a d4 isn't so measly when it gets +10 to hit in addition to everything else, and you can smite with it. Just be wise that you're not fighting someone with a really high AC who you're just going to miss all the time, because then all of a sudden this really cool feat is not so fun. And don't ignore how good it can be to land a crit and get another attack as a bonus action, which can kind of make it have some negative synergy with Polearm Master or anything that uses up your bonus action consistently. Great Weapon Master allows you to make that bonus action attack to go slashing when you kill something or you get a critical hit. So don't bog down your bonus actions too much, or that won't feel as fun. Getting +30 damage in a round from this one feat can be really satisfying as long as you're hitting. And then my number 1 pick for Paladins is, and by process of elimination you may have figured it out by now, is Sentinel. The main selling point with Sentinel is that it is very synergistic with the other feats I already mentioned. It doesn't come with a stat boost, but many have already talked about how Sentinel is a very strong feat. But I don't recommend it for everyone, and it's definitely not like the top pick for everyone. Whether you're using heavy weapons, pole arms, shield and sword, Sentinel is very helpful for you. even a dex-based paladin. So like any kind of paladin can use Sentinel effectively. You'll reliably weaponize your reaction when someone is attacking your ally next to you. And again, every attack you get is big as a paladin because there's a chance to smite and to crit smite. Every time you attack as a paladin should make your enemies sweat. You can keep enemies from moving away from you or moving past you to your other allies you're protecting with the Sentinel feat. You might not choose this as the first feat you pick, but it's almost certainly going to be chosen with a lot of the other feats I mentioned. A lot of the feats I mentioned already have synergy with like maybe one or two other feats, but there's a few other that they have negative synergy with or they just don't work together. But Sentinel pretty much works with all of them. So as a paladin, maybe your third or fourth ASI Sentinel will be pretty big for you to choose. Once you already get your damage output or whatever other fun feats you have, Sentinel can be big. But Sentinel in and of itself can be really fun for you too. So I'm not saying that it's like the not fun feat and it's just really good. Choose wisely. If you want to go with the Great Weapon Master and be slashing things really consistently and doing lots of damage, take that first and then take Sentinel later. Honorable mention feat for me is if you're a halfling paladin, taking Bountiful Luck just pours over your conviction so that your allies never roll ones. That's the one I would also pick Inspiring Leader with. That's just like the support paladin. And I know a lot of people, when they're paladins, they want to dish out smite damage. But I kind of like the archetype of being the leader, the Captain America of the group who keeps everyone together. Some alternative feats that you might choose that I thought were interesting but didn't make my top 10. Poisoner could allow you to do some poison damage to couple with your smite. And it only costs you your bonus action. Slasher and Crusher can be great for paladins to slow people down and gain advantage or give disadvantage to enemies when you're critting, including some stat boosts. Stat boosts are big. Lucky and Tough are always okay feats to choose, so I always have to bring them up. But Lucky can be good in that it can also turn like disadvantage into a kind of pseudo advantage for crit fishing and turning a failure into a success. So that can be pretty cool. So those are my top picks, my top 10, my alternatives and honorable mentions for Paladin feats. This might be one of the hardest ones to rate feats for because I think people have a lot of opinions on Paladins. So let me know what yours are. Do you think any of the feats would swap around if you were doing your top 10 list? Are there any other honorable mentions that you think could even make the top 10 if I looked at things a certain way? Tell me about it. I have my own devotion to this list because I made it, but maybe I'll become an oath breaker of my own top 10 list and alter it for someone else's if y'all have good points. Either way, let me know in the comments section, cast message down there, and let's have a discussion about feats for Paladins. Don't forget to subscribe to join our Flutes Loot order of Paladins who just love D&D 5th edition. This is the way. But that about covers it. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, see ya.